to talk about this
Gracias, amiga. Thank you.
effort to learn more about how California politics works. To learn more about politics, I've been trying to learn about the different people that work there. One of the things about California state legislator is primarily blue. You know, there's I believe the term is asymmetrical fragmentation, but I don't know how fragmented the opposition is because it's really just the Republicans that are the opposition. We've had a Democratic governor, a majority Democratic state Senate, and a majority Democratic assembly since 2011 is just like constantly blue, blue, blue. It's all Democrats. So it got me wondering, we're like, just blue. There's just everyone in the government is a Democrat. They rule the roost no matter what. So the opposition isn't necessarily fragmented, but they don't stand a chance. There's no way that they're going to be able to get anything through. Each house is dominated by the Democrats. So I started thinking how maybe we should do like a little deep dive into all of the Democrats and see like exactly how liberal or left leaning or conservative they might be, and part of that digging into the different caucuses they have, I came across the Latino caucus, and let's see, they had a couple of words to say on Medi-Cal, which has been contested recently.
Name from this document. You would remove the state, and people would just read this off to you. You close your eyes, you would think, oh, that's a budget proposed by a Republican in perhaps Alabama, if you were just to read it. Because that's what it feels like. A direct attack from Republican talking points. And this is personal to me. I'm not just here as the chair of Senate Health. I'm here as a hija of Salvadoran immigrants, the niece of TPS holders, the niece of undocumented individuals, the daughter of a mother on Medi-Cal, because this is a personal attack on my family and the family members that you see surrounding us here in support. What is happening is that the rhetoric, what they want you to believe is that our community is at fault for the deficit in our state's budget, but it's not. What is happening year after year after year is that entities, businesses are getting away with providing a less than livable wage, or getting away with forcing their employees to have a part-time schedule, forcing them into our state's driven Medi-Cal program. In fact, we, the state, are subsidizing corporations and employees and providing them, their employees, health insurance instead of saying, hey, enough. You need to provide a work schedule to your employees that puts them at full time, that pushes them out of Medi-Cal, that gives them a livable wage, that pushes them out of Medi-Cal and off of the state of California subsidizing them. And another point, let's not pretend that this is, out of nowhere we expanded, this is the fault to the deficit. We've been providing long-term care for the undocumented individual for 20 plus years. In fact, the state of California has known that the federal government has given them the option to remove long-term care for individuals over 20 years ago. All of a sudden, now it's a problem? We complain and talk about the unhoused individuals on the street, and our solution is to push people out of skilled nursing facilities with nowhere to go. Make no mistake, we are going to be the problem to unhousing individuals. We're pushing people on the streets and then saying, okay, you're going to lose your housing. Oh, and by the way, if you want help, it's $100 a month. Over the weekend, tens of people that I was talking to in clinics said, this is going to hurt us. So I'm standing with our allies and our colleagues to say, Governor Newsom, this is not the solution. There are other ways. We're saying no to these Medi-Cal cuts.
She's a child of Salvadorian immigrants because, as we know, I personally have a hyperfixation with El Salvador's president. He cracks me the F up, bro. Look at his little chubby cheeks. He looks like a little chipmunk right there. Instead of hiding acorns in his cheek, he's hiding undocumented immigrants in his tiny country, like trying to stuff as many people into jail as he possibly can into his tiny little country. That's why his cheeks are so big. But anyways, yeah. This is Senator Caroline Menjavier? No, Menjavier? Let's see if she says her name, unlike, what's his name? Kevin Kiley. I still don't know if his actual last name is Kiley. Caroline Men Men Menevar. I'm sure it's probably something. Okay. She's bro, is she gay? Like, she's giving me a little bit gay vibes right now. But I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. Hold on. Let's just go back to actually her. Oh, she only has 15 subscribers. Damn. She's my competition on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, let's see what she says.
Hi everyone, Senator Caroline Menjivar here with your 2024
Menjivar.
end of session
Menjivar.
legislative update. Remember last year I had my legislative director join me, but this time I've brought along the glue that binds my capital and district offices together. SD20, your chief of staff, Cameron Yurkovsky. Hey Cam!
Hey, thank you for having me. Hello everyone. I'm excited to join the senator in celebrating our legislative success process of authoring, coalition building, stakeholder committee meeting, budget package, and one was shelved because it was implemented by the administration.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. This lady, I vibe with her so much.
As a reproductive justice warrior and sign SB 729. Many of these bills are directly attributed to my
Okay, we got enough. I think we got enough. The last thing I need to find out is if she's part of the community or not. She was at San. Oh my god, no, she has to be, bro. Whoa, hold on. Look at her, full on butch, without a doubt. Damn, that's a cool button shirt. She got I've worn this fit many a times. It's called the black tank top tucked into the jeans with the basic belt, and then you just throw on the short sleeve button up or just full on button up, whatever. She even rolled the sleeves a little bit. She's cool. There we go. I think that's all we needed to know. Lesbian Villa at Capitol hashtag Lesbian Visibility Week for you. Woohoo, lesbian pride. I'm glad we found our. Oh my god, look at these women standing behind her. They're gonna beat me up, bro. They look so tough. It's instead of Hell's Angels, is Lesbians Angels. Okay. So anyways, she seems to be pretty active in the Latino caucus, which I think is pretty cool, you know.
What is happening is that what they want you to believe is that our community is at fault for the deficit in our state's budget, but it's not. What is happening year after year after year is that entities, businesses are getting away with providing a less than livable wage, or getting away with forcing their employees to have a part-time schedule, forcing them into our state's driven Medi-Cal program. In fact,
But anyways, yeah, so that's just a little feature on this state senator. If you're in her district or know of her, let me know in the comments what you think about her. Let's continue on. Next news story I wanted to cover was by again, shout out to Anthony Victoria of KVCR. Deportation orders lifted for day laborers arrested by Border Patrol in Pomona. Interesting. That's so weird. Let's hear what Mr. Victoria has to say about it.
Last month, 10 men were arrested by Border Patrol outside of a Home Depot in Pomona. Judge Dana Sabraw said in his order that the 3 day laborers say their constitutional rights were violated. Sabraw issued a temporary restraining order last Friday to halt the deportations of Jesus Domingo Ross, Yoni Garcia, and Edwin Juarez, who are all in ICE custody. Niels Frentzen is the attorney representing the day laborers.
The Department of Homeland Security decided to cancel the expedited removal orders. So the men are no longer subject to this summary expedited removal order, can result in them being removed without any hearing.
Frentzen says the 3 men are scheduled to appear in front of an immigration judge next month. He also says they're now eligible for bail. It's not clear why the Department of Homeland Security lifted the deportation orders. Border Patrol and ICE did not respond to requests for comment. For KVCR News, I'm Anthony Victoria.
So yeah, well, it just doesn't make sense why there's a shortage of day laborers, and now they're starting to realize that they need, like, these people to work these jobs. These are not violent criminals, they're day laborers. They're here to work and to make money. They're not here to That's not what they're doing. They're selling their labor.
ICE agents reportedly raid the parking lot of a Home Depot in Pomona, detaining more than a dozen day laborers.
Well, Mark and Giovanna, the Home Depot is a popular spot with day laborers who come here looking for work, trying to help their families in some way by providing them with that work. Now, what they encountered here, though, this morning were ICE agents that detained and arrested them. And that, of course, is prompting swift backlash from immigrant rights groups. Immigrant advocates stood with signs as they called for the removal of immigration and custom enforcement agents from the community. The gathering coming together hours after ICE raided a Pomona Home Depot, detaining several day laborers waiting outside, hoping to be hired for the day. One of them, Carlos, narrowly avoided being caught. Speaking through an interpreter, he described the emotional toll.
When I started seeing the scene, I started crying. The tears started leaving. We're here. We're human beings. We're only here to support ourselves and to maintain our families.
According to Carlos and other witnesses, the raid unfolded
I mean, it doesn't
just
get
around
more
8
clear than
a.m.
that. It really does not get more clear than that. It's just here to support their families, or, to have a job and support their families. That's it.
It's not a crime to look for a day of work, for an honest day of work. That is not a crime to be a day laborer. It's honorable.
You are detained.
That's crazy. He's so right, though. It's not a crime to put yourself out there and say, I'm just trying to find an honest way to make some money. They're standing in the parking lot of the Home Depot. You know what that means. You know what they're offering. Why is it such a big deal? Why is ICE going after them? Why? I thought they were supposed to just go after criminals, not necessarily doing criminal activities, just standing in for a job. It's crazy.
Eyewitness News reached out to ICE for a comment. The agency issued this statement. Due to our operational tempo and the increased interest in our agency, we are not able to research and respond to rumors or specifics of routine daily operations for
Rumors
ICE.
or specifics? Homie, there was pictures. Rumors or specifics? What? There's a news story written about it. That doesn't make sense.
Telling those day laborers that they should not be put off by coming to places like the Home Depot to look for work. They do tell them, though, to know their rights before coming out here in case they are detained. And they're also letting the families know of those who were arrested this morning by ICE agents that if they need help getting information, they can contact them through a hotline number. It's 909-361-4588. Reporting in Pomona, Leticia Juarez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Let's check out the LAS. Protesters demand the release of the Pomona 5 during a press conference outside the Pomona Superior Courthouse on May 6, 2025. The administrator wanted to deport 3 Guatemalan day laborers under a new policy that it adapted from one that previously was used nearly exclusively at the border and only for immigrants who recently arrived in the U.S. Advocates said the case had potential to signal whether the Trump administration could carry out its promised mass rapid deportations across California from the Southern District of California after their attorneys argued the agents stopped them without reasonable suspicion in violation of their Fourth Amendment rights. The men were detained by Border Patrol agents in Pomona. There's no dispute that the Fourth Amendment applies to people within the interior of the United States. Is there? ? Sabra asked the attorney from the federal government, who argued the court didn't have jurisdiction over the workers' claims, who characterized the stops as consensual. On Monday, the administration backed down. Assistant U.S. Attorney Aaron Dimbley said during a court hearing that the men were no longer being processed for rapid removal without a hearing before an immigration judge. No reason was given by the government, but we would guess that the government decided it did not want to produce the arresting Border Patrol agents to testify in court under oath on Thursday to justify the legality of their actions. The workers have not yet been released from custody, but they will now have a chance to appear before an immigration judge in court, giving them the opportunity to challenge their return to Guatemala and to argue that their due process rights were violated. The district does not include Pomona, where Border Patrol agents arrested the day laborers in raids on a Home Depot parking lot in April 22nd, detained while looking for work. The agents conducted the Home Depot arrest without warrants, court records show. At least 9 people total were taken into custody in the parking lot sweep, the records state. Jesus Domingo Ross, one of the men detained in Pomona, said in an interview that he was standing on a street corner near the Home Depot when agents appeared from all sides, grabbed him, and threw him to the ground, leaving him with bruises on his shoulders and knee. I panicked, he said in Spanish, describing the instant he realized he was in custody of the U.S. immigration authorities. Just with everything you're seeing on the news right now, I really panicked because we didn't know what was going to happen. He spoke to Cal Matters last month at the Imperial Regional Detention Facility in Calexico, where he is now being held. The 38-year-old Guatemalan said he crossed into the United States without federal authorization nearly 3 years ago and has been working in construction in Pomona ever since. He said he was looking for work when agents surrounded him. I've never been arrested. I've never been detained. This is my first experience, he said. Before transferring him to the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, he said the El Centro Border Patrol agents held him and others in freezing cold cells for days while interrogating them about who they might know. The agents hung enlarged mugshots along the walls of their cells, demanding to know the names of the people in the mugshots and whether the workers knew them. When we said we didn't know them, they argued with us, he said. Domingo Ross led violence and poverty in his hometown, located directly on the border of Guatemala and Chiapas, Mexico. His brother is a legal permanent resident in Pomona, having successfully won an asylum case in the United States, he said. Wow. So I guess his brother was granted asylum, but not him. And man, he's just out there trying to make some money, and he got snabbed. Looking for work is not a crime. Waiting for a job opportunity outside a Home Depot isn't a threat to anyone, said Teodoro. I mean, I have to agree, bro. There's way more suspicious activity like happening in the Starbucks with white moms than there is with Latinos waiting outside for a job. You know, they're waiting out there with the intent that they're going to get a shitty freaking job. They're going to have to they're there to do the labor that nobody else who's like actually part of the construction wants to do. It sucks, and they're doing it for, I don't know, probably for lunch sometimes. Advocates said federal immigration authorities last week told Domingo Ross that he'd be back in Guatemala within days. That's because the Trump administration was trying to apply a new policy to his case that expands the powers of immigration officers to fast-track removals of people arrested in the interior of the country. Is it not the Alien Enemies Act? Is the new thing that he's trying to do? Oh my God. Oh yeah. Designating aliens for expedited removal. DAER. But it's not fair. It's literally going against due process. Process known as expedited removal allows immigration officers to remove certain non-citizens from the United States without a hearing before an immigration judge. According to the American Immigration Council, that's what they said. They said, historically, the process for bypassing immigration courts has been reserved primarily for areas close to the border and for migrants who arrived by sea or cross the border within the prior 2 weeks. Oh, so it's like for people who just came. The Trump administration released a new expedited removal policy on January 21st, allowing immigration officers to apply expedited removals across the entire United States instead of only near the border and for people who have been in the country longer than 2 weeks. The effect of this change will be to enhance national security and public safety while reducing government cost. How? How is this reducing government cost? Because who knows how many people you're paying to go drive around the Home Depot parking lots to find people to arrest and deport. You're telling me that that's an effective use of their time? Like, you could say whatever you want. I'm personally against ICE and against Customs and Borders Protection doing this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how it's considered border protection when you're doing it inside of Pomona. You know, that's so far from any border. Like, that doesn't make sense. Advocates say it's part of a broader effort to boost deportations by chipping away at the limited due process afforded to immigrants in the United States. The Trump administration has also canceled grants that funded legal representation for children and for families separated during his first term. It fired dozens of immigration judges in Massachusetts, California, and Louisiana, and removed people to remote locations outside of the United States without a hearing, including the notorious El Salvador high security prison. Trump and his supporters argue that using expedited removal will help alleviate the long overburdened and backlogged immigration court system, which has more than 3.5 million cases pending. The swelling backlog has tripled since 2020, meaning detained migrants are waiting months and even years for their hearings. We have thousands of people that are ready to go out, and you can't have a trial for these people, Trump said last month in Oval Office. Why? Why can't you have a trial for these people? That doesn't make sense. Like, the whole reason there's such a backlog is because you're laying off judges. How are you just don't want people to have trials. Just say that. Don't beat around the bush and be like, we just got to get these people out. We don't have the capacity and time to deal with them. That's un-American, bro. The policy places the burden on the person detained to prove that they've been in the country continuously for more than 2 years to satisfy to the satisfaction of an immigration officer. So basically, the immigration officer is playing judge and jury and decider. In the past, it's led to U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents being mistakenly deported. Yeah, in the past or like recently, because that's happened too. It isn't reasonable to expect someone to carry around 24 months worth of utility bills on their person at all times. There must be an opportunity, a reasonable opportunity, to provide evidence that have been in the U.S. for longer than 2 years, if that is the case, said Christian Penny Shea Paul, I'm sorry, the Assistant Vice President of Policy and Advocacy at the National Immigration Forum, an immigration advocacy nonprofit in Washington, D.C. Similar efforts to speed up the process for deportations during Trump's first administration were challenged in federal court. I remember that. Initially, a district court granted a preliminary injunction in 2019 blocking the expansion and expedited removal. But this wasn't overturned by the D.C. Circuit, allowing Homeland Security to expand its use of expedited removal while the lawsuit continued. The legal battle blocked the policy from going into effect until late 2020. The Biden administration then rescinded it in early 2021. The ACLU is suing again in D.C. District Court to try and stop the expanded use of expedited removal. The government has filed a motion to dismiss the suit, claiming that the court does not have jurisdiction. The use of expedited removal to bypass the court system and deport people was rising before Trump was reelected to president. In fiscal year 23, the numbers peaked when Barack Obama was president. 193,000 people detained at the border who went through the expedited removal process that represented 44% of the total number of removals that year. Okay. You know, I'm not a fan of the deporter in chief. Barack Hussein Obama is I'm going to defend him right now. When they say that he was represented 44% of the total number of removals for that year, remember earlier in the article where it said that the expedited removal process usually happens near the border or within 2 weeks of crossing the border? So here's this really interesting thing about Democrat presidents. People think that they are for immigration. And so people from South America, Latin America, will understand that they would probably have better chances to come into the country. So they come to the border seeking asylum. They did that a lot during Obama's presidency. And as you see, 44% of them were immediately removed, immediately turned around. You know, I don't know why they call it a removal, you know, when it was just like no, I'm sorry, you can't come inside the house. I'm not going to let you in. That's not a removal, bro. But okay, this was when it was ramping up, when Donald Trump was already on his BS about, you know, they're letting them in. Mexico's not sending their best. When he was already on that BS, this is when this was happening. And people freaked the F out because they were like, oh my God, Donald Trump's going to become president in 2016. 2016. I'm dumb. Was it 2014 was the election? No, 2012. So it was 2016 that Donald Trump became president. You know, that people were like, oh my God, I got to get into the country. I got to seek asylum before Donald Trump gets in, and then I'm going to have no chance. And that's why you see when it hit, you know, it just went straight down. I mean, part of it was COVID, you know, out in 2020, and then there was just like no border crossings at all. Don't come to the border and try to seek asylum, apply on our little app. So that's what that was about. But, you know, so yeah. Anyways, now that we know a little bit of what Donald Trump is trying to do, he's trying to do that expedited removal. I wanted to talk about the Pope because he's funny.
In the United States, people are extremely excited about
In the United States, people are extremely excited. No one is excited. We're just like, please do not another Pope, JD Vance. The Bears jersey. And like, why does JD Vance and his wife, why do they hate their kids so much? Why do they crap on their kids all the time? JD Vance hates his children so much. Like, he's like embarrassed of them, I think. It's terrible. Usha Vance was like, oh, they tried to use a template. Bro, why do you mean a template? Like, they had to use a pattern to sign their own signature? These children don't know how to sign their own names?
There's our kid right.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure these children actually can hold pencils and write. Okay, let's see. Ewan. How old is Ewan? Hold on. Oh, they named him after Ewan McGregor? Is that why his name is Ewan? I'm going to be so... If it comes out that JD Vance likes Star Wars, I'm going to have to stop liking Star Wars. I'm just saying that right now. I cannot... Star Wars was already teetering with me. Some of the fans are just off the rails, and if I find out that JD Vance is a fan of Star Wars, ruined. It's gonna be ruined for me. Okay, Vivek is 4, Maribel's 2. Wait, oh, Ewan is 7. God, why is JD Vance wearing like eyeliner? Why is he so chubby? He like does the waterline too, but like doesn't even brush his hair. So your 7-year-old has such, man, I swear it's probably she made him use a little pattern to sign his name. Like,
hopefully he
they tried to sign it with a pattern, but they got a little nervous.
Oh, I see. Oh, succeed. Yeah. So I guess there's our
the
kid.
pattern fell apart. So, Miss Usha Vance, do these kids not know how to write their names? They have to use like a trace-it paper to sign their names? Like, even if they just draw a Pokemon or something on there, let that be more original. Let these children live. Oh man, but this is coming from the dude that made fun of his kids for liking Pokemon. Actually, let's look into that real quick because I just want to.
The crazy thing about it is my son, who's 7, is in the hotel room with me. And he's really into Pokemon cards right now. He's going through a Pokemon phase. Are you guys into Pokemon?
I was back in the day.
Okay,
yeah,
That's a big phase right now, I think, in general.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's really into it. So he's trying to talk to me about Pikachu. And I'm on the phone with Donald Trump. And I'm like, son, shut the hell up for 30 seconds about Pikachu. The crazy thing about it is...
Okay. Hold on. I'm willing to bet, because he's a 7-year-old kid, I don't think it was Pikachu. I think JD Vance was trying to be taught about a different Pokemon, and JD Vance only knows the one Pokemon, Pikachu, because that's the one he can probably remember from his early college years when he was, doing a lot of drag. That's terrible. There's probably some other Pokemon, but he just was like, all Pokemon are named Pikachu. So he's trying to talk to me about Pikachu, and I'm on the phone with my daddy Donald Trump. Go away, son. I don't want to hear about Pikachu. That's terrible. It's just like, man, I feel like JD Vance and his wife are like embarrassed that their kids are autistic, or their kids are just normal as kids that have hyperfixations. Every kid has a hyperfixation. That's just kids.
But they got a little nervous.
Oh, I see.
I forget. Are they Catholic? Is JD Vance Catholic? Oh man, he is Catholic. I didn't know that. How JD Vance found his way to the Catholic Church. In his new home in Cincinnati, JD Vance would go to St. Gertrude to meet the friar. It was... I can't read this. I can't. Let's just look at the pictures. Okay, this is the church he goes to. Okay. It's already giving me Midwestern Catholic Church. Probably busted on the inside. Doesn't have heating. You could just tell, is a horrible time. Wait, there's a big ass tower behind it? Wait, are these people Catholic too? Mr. Vance is part of the changing coalition of conservative Christians in Republican politics. Since I love Hasanabi, we're gonna steal some of his content for a little bit. Will probably help me transition into Gaza real quick.
Bro,
I feel
it
we
gets
need to
worse.
talk about it.
Gaza the Star. We're going to talk about the international community's response. What's really interesting about all of this is that they are finally arriving at least the optics front. They're becoming Erdogan. They're hitting the Erdogan technique, where they just start talking about Israel in a mean way and even aesthetically claim that they are going to implement a blockade against Israel while simultaneously still offering all of the military support necessary to Israel. Here's another article headline that I wanted to show you. From 40 Babies hoax to this bookend. Moshe Failin on Channel 14. Every baby in Gaza is an enemy. Every baby in Gaza is an enemy. The enemy is not Hamas. We need to conquer Gaza and colonize it and not leave a single Gazan child there. There is no other victory. Prominent Judeo-Nazi maniac.
How can you say that and people still support that? I don't get it. I don't get it when you're saying that babies, literal babies of another, babies of your neighbor, essentially. You're like, these people, enemy, they're gonna kill me. I have to genocide them before they genocide me. That just doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. And anyone who supports that, crazy.
On the other hand, there's something really dark, but also ironic and somewhat funny about the fact that, in Israel, they openly are entertaining this stuff, right? And in America, when you say they're openly entertaining this stuff in Israel, you get branded a anti-Semite. It's so weird.
Hassan is 100% right there. The parallels are unnerving almost. Donald Trump like today with the whole South African president and prime minister, whatever. He was basically trying to tell this black South African dude that other black South African people are doing genocide against the white South African people. What? Like that's essentially the same line that Israel is using against Palestinians. They're saying that, you know, they're coming into they're just making life worse. And
But they're saying it. Like, what do you mean? I'm just reporting on what they said. No, in order to be a defender of Jewish people, you have to literally close your eyes and shut off your ears and bite your tongue and not say the truth about what the is going on in Israel. They've lost their fucking minds, okay? A truly and utterly depraved society. Of course they have to be truly and utterly depraved at this point. They're doing a fucking genocide for 19 months. You can't maintain a genocide for 19 months on an outgroup without a healthy dose of dehumanization propaganda that has to set in, that has to be an incredibly important part of your identity. Think about how much people freaked out about that one dude in Hamas on the, I think he was like the Lebanese branch guy who was like, because of what Israel has done to us, 1 million October 7s is justified against Israel, right? He said that shortly after October 7th, and everyone was like, this is genocide, this is genocidal. Okay, there's been 19 months of genocide. And every single Israeli politician at this point, with the exception of like 3, have literally been like, it's a genocide, it's good, and we need to do genocide.
thank you for the follow, Ripper X.
Previously, there
you
are plenty of people
following.
in this community that would probably tell you that previously, like Jewish members of this community especially, would tell you that in the past, like 2 years ago, or even like a couple months into what Israel was doing in Gaza, if I were to compare it to the Nazis, or if I were to compare what's happening in Gaza to the Holocaust, there would be a lot of people that would be like, oh, that's a bridge too far, I think. Now, you won't hear anybody respond to that in a negative fashion. Everyone will say, no, this is it's not a one-to-one comparison in terms of like the total numbers, but that is precisely what's going on. It is a mechanized death camp. It is mechanized death, just like the Holocaust was, and it's happening in an open-air prison that is now turned into an open-air death camp. Now think, why is it that the public sentiment has changed this dramatically? It's because people realize what's going on. And that's also part of the reason why, because look at this dipshit. Every child, every baby in Gaza is an enemy, he says. That's the reason why the UK is at least trying to aesthetically present themselves in opposition to what Israel is doing, while still calling it a fucking war, by the way. Bro, it gets worse. Former Israeli Minister of Knesset quotes Hitler while discussing the Gaza war.
No. Like, I don't get it. Why would you...
5 minutes later.
You're...
2 hours later.
Yeah.
As Hitler said, I can't live if one Jew is left. We can't live here if one Islamo-Nazi remains in Gaza. He has a whole segment on his Wikipedia dedicated to his Hitler statements. He has said something like this more than once. His Hitler comments are, I'm sorry, what? Feiglin has openly stated that though he is not opposed to peace, peace is not his goal. And would not be on top of his agenda as prime minister. Rather, his focus on reforming Israel as an essentially Jewish state by acting on several campaigns on the religious, social, and legal and security fronts. Yeah, he said that, by the way, back in I guess he said it in when? June 16th, 2024. This is what dude, I'm serious. I mean, like, look, people say, like, this is an edge case or whatever, right? Like, this is a...
What? No, I feel like a lot of...
like what Benjamin Netanyahu or other prominent members of the fucking security cabinet or the governing coalition are saying something that different. They just don't like directly say Adolf Hitler said this and it's good, but they sound like Adolf Hitler. There is a link to Hitler comments of this guy. Oh my God. In an article in Haaretz, Yossi Sarid quoted Feiglin in context of demonstrations against the Oslo Accords as saying, Hitler was an unparalleled military genius. Nazism promoted Germany from a low to a fantastic physical and ideological status. The ragged, trashy youth body turned into a neat and orderly pact of society, and Germany received an exemplary regime, a proper justice system, and public order. Hitler savored good music. He would paint, This was no bunch of thugs. They merely used thugs and homosexuals. Feiglin clarified his position to the Maariv newspaper that just because he considers Hitler a military genius, this does not mean he admires him. He was banned from Britain. I mean, I guess at least he's honest. Like, I don't know. I mean, he's right here. He's saying babies in Gaza are my enemy. Like, this is his quote. So is it all that crazy for him to also be like, yeah, and Hitler actually was a figure worthy of admiration? Like, is that strange for him to say? Is it really? When you think about it, is it really that crazy for this guy to admire Adolf Hitler? Yeah, he's Jewish. Yeah, he's in Israel. Yeah, his immediate family members most likely were executed by Adolf Hitler in the Holocaust. So you're like, how do you live in this situation? Like, how do you live with yourself is, of course, something that you can think about, but it's like after a steady dose of dehumanizing propaganda where you dehumanize yourself, it's understandable where he's just kind of looking at it and being like, fascism is awesome.